Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, like and subscribe. There are a lot of people out there talking about Game Pass and how it is the future, but for some curious reason, when they talk about Game Pass, they also talk about Sony, they also talk about Nintendo. They want this rental day and date service to be adopted by everyone, and it's curious because if you have something and it's exclusive to an ecosystem or something that you like, why would you need validation? Why would it need to be everywhere else? So I'm going to tell you why Game Pass exists for Microsoft, and I'm going to tell you why it is never going to exist for Nintendo or for Sony and PlayStation. Game Pass exists for one reason, and that's because Microsoft in the gaming industry does not have a history as deep as Nintendo or Sony, and they haven't created many IPs the way that Nintendo and Sony have. You see, Sony and Nintendo have a catalog that dates back years, from the PS1 to the PS2 to the PS3 to the PS4 to the PS5 even now. They've created IPs and characters and worlds and spin-offs. They've got a wealth of material to draw from. Now, I'm playing Paper Mario here. It's on the N64 online with the Switch. They've got tons of games from the N64 on the Switch now. They've got SNES games, a ton of them. They've got NES games, a ton of them. Nothing day and date is on this service from Nintendo and Switch. Now, they've got Wii, they've got Wii U, they've got GameCube, they've got tons of software to draw from across those consoles that they haven't touched yet, and all of that makes their subscription service extremely attractive. It sits next to the things that they're creating new within a brand new generation on new hardware, because those games coming out are going to sell incredibly well, and they're also going to give people a reason to buy brand new hardware for brand new games. If you've got history, you can draw from it and make a subscription service that's very attractive. Microsoft with Xbox just doesn't have that. The original Xbox, they didn't create anything. They really didn't start to create games. Xbox 360, they really didn't do that either. They purchased Gears, they purchased Halo, Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, and they haven't made anything new since, other than, say, Sea of Thieves, maybe State of Decay, which started out as an indie title on Xbox 360 Arcade. But they clearly don't have the wealth of content to draw from. I mean, you look at Nintendo, they started with NES titles, and they constantly update that. Then they've got SNES. Now they've got N64. Now they have Sega Genesis games. And again, they're going to look to GameCube. They're going to look to Wii. They're going to look to Wii U. All the while producing brand new games for the Switch to sell the Switch. No day and date needed when you have that kind of content to draw from. And Sony's in the same position. They just don't need to do it because their games sell. And that's another reason why Game Pass was created. Microsoft's games just don't sell to the audience. There are a lot of people that love Xbox, but for some reason, they're not buying those first-party games at an attach rate. The people are buying Nintendo and Sony games. It's just not happening. It's not a knock. It just doesn't happen. It's the truth. You can't argue the math and the numbers. And Microsoft doesn't have that history of creating games to make a subscription service really attractive without having to promise whatever they create that's brand new being put in there day and date. Paper Mario here is absolutely incredible. There's a ton of N64 titles. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, F-Zero. It's an unbelievable service that sits next to the brand new games that they're creating that are not day and date, because people want to purchase them. They want to purchase the hardware, and they want that next Zelda game, Breath of the Wild 2. And they're still buying Breath of the Wild 1. That's why Game Pass exists. That's why day and date has to be something that Microsoft has for Xbox. And that's why it does not need to exist on Nintendo or PlayStation. Period. It's just not going to happen. Okay? So if we're talking about 20 years from now, 30 years from now, if it does happen, okay, you won. But I think the argument I'm making here is clear. When you've got history and you've got games you can throw into a service while also creating great games that aren't day and date, that people are willing to purchase, you're in a much better position than you are when you have to promise everything day and date and you have problems getting anything out to begin with. So that's why Game Pass exists. That's why it's not going to exist in the same way that it does for Xbox on Nintendo. Certainly not going to exist that way on Nintendo. And that's why for the foreseeable future, it's not going to exist that way on a PlayStation. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.